Hey everyone, Original Fox here, and today we're going to explore a brief history of animation, because I like to think of myself as an animation aficionado. Nah, I'm just kidding, but I do enjoy animation. It's my first and only love. And even if we don't know it, animation shaped our history and our individual lives, from propaganda films that boosted morale to 80s kids movies that traumatized us to never be happy again. In this video, I will be going over three main points: the past, present, and future of animation, from its birth to how it's being used today, and finally, what many people believe will become of animation in the future.
Please.
You're right. Enough focusing on the past. Instead, let's focus on the past.
Animation has actually been around far before the age of technology and/or light. Archaeologists have discovered that mankind has been trying to attempt giving life to still images since 30,000 BC. One such example being a piece of pottery depicting goats leaping across the sides. Egyptian hieroglyphs would also show images of scenes, giving the illusion of movement with each image. In the 18th century France, people would tell stories through the hand-drawn shadows, known as shadowography, or cinema in silhouette. Then there was the invention of the magic lantern. Invented by Christian Huygens in 1659, the magic lantern was used to protect moving images, pretty much the very first projector. With getting the roots of animation out of the way, we can talk about the true beginnings of actual animated images. The first starting with the phenakistoscope, a device founded by Joseph Plateau in 1832. It was the very first invention to create a fluid illusion of the actual movements of a still image. Early animations of the next 26 years were very simple and choppy in most parts, each movement of a character or item taking up to 300 to 700 frames, or hand-drawn images, just to create a 10 to 15-minute film. These years of animation were known as theater optic. In 1898, the birth of my nightmares began to make their appearance.
What the hell?
Stop-motion animation, or what I like to call scarymation. I mean, just look at this thing. It's just... Gah! To be fair, all old animations are frightening, and we've come a long way, but... Ugh. Let's just get through this. Stop motion began its most basic of animation techniques, with a filmmaker physically moving an object before photographing each inch of movement the filmmaker would make. In short, one had to be very, very careful with each movement, because one mistake could destroy the entire film. Returning to my favorite forms of animation, traditional hand-drawn animation, or cell animation, was used between the years of 1914 to 1967. Cell animation, or more commonly known as frame-by-frame animation, was the using of transparent sheets of cellulose and cellulose nitrate and camphor. Characters were drawn on these cells and superimposed on a common background image, this allowing for the animator to reduce the number of frames and production time. Colonel Heza Lyre being the first recorded animation to use this technique. However, animation didn't make its biggest impact on the world until Gertie the Dinosaur. Created by Winsor McKay in 1914, Gertie the Dinosaur was the first animated cartoon to feature a distinguishable character, keyframes, registration marks, and animation loops. With the creation of Gertie came what would be known as the movie stars of animation, the one making a greater mark on the world being Mickey. However, Mickey not being the first, characters such as Felix the cat, Bimbo the dog, Betty Boop, and even Disney's first animated star Oswald the rabbit, coming into the movie scene long before Mickey. The reason for this most likely being to the fact that a very familiar scene called Steamboat Willie featured Mickey and having sound added to the animation, a revolutionary change to what was once the silent era of films. Come 1967, the birth of computer animation entered the world. The first known computer-generated animated film going by the name of Hummingbird. The short film, taking 30,000 images and 25 motion sequences, all created through the use of a computer. one of the first feature film of this era of animation being Disney's Sword in the Stone, which suspiciously has animations similar to the Jungle Book. Disney's a cheater! Next came the era of CGI, otherwise called computer generated imagery. Don't get me wrong, I love Pixar. Next to Disney, that friggin' cheater, it's my childhood. No one can forget what Tom Hanks taught me. But this isn't exactly my favorite form of animation. No real reason, I just prefer traditional 2D animation. Anyway, back to the facts. In 1984, CGI was achieved through the use of both 2D and 3D animated graphics, their movements being done by either frame by frame or rigging technique, which involves basically moving an animated puppet on the computer. With computer 2D animation and CGI, brings us to today's use of animation in both TV and film. Surprisingly, Toy Story wasn't even the first film to use CGI, as many would like to believe. It was done by Pixar, however. The film he created with the use of CGI was an animation by the name of The Adventures of Andre and Wally B. Then Terminator 2 came out with its groundbreaking morphing effects of the robots, more specifically for the half-computerized character T-1000. Toy Story, however, making its premiere in 1995, made its cinematic hit through Pixar's use of an entire world comprised of CGI graphics, creating distinctive characters with personalities and interests. By the way, be glad this was what we got, because the original designs and story were very, not kid-friendly. Enjoy those nightmares, everyone! There was also the development of The Lion King in 1994, where the wildebeest stampede scene You're welcome. Took 2 years to complete as the Disney company used CGI for each and every detail of these wildebeests. They even had to write a new computer program to guide the movements of the herd. And now, the future of animation. Future! Thankfully, 2D animation doesn't appear to be completely gone. After all, The Simpsons and Family Guy seem to be the shows that'll never die, even if their actors die off. Not to mention Don Bluth, the main animator of 80s kids films, such as The Secret of Nim and even a revolutionary video game known as Dragon's Lair, is creating an actual fully animated film of Dragon's Lair, which you can support on Patreon, which, as a woman in love with animation, especially with 2D animation, would be huge. There's also the production of Vivzi's Pop's Hazbin Hotel, the pilot planning to be released right here on YouTube this upcoming year. Again, bringing back the passion of 2D animation. And while stop motion can be frightening at times, I do admire the work that goes into each individual character's movement. The meticulous work the animators have to put into the animation is truly a patience I will never have. And besides, stop motion did bring us Coraline, Nightmare Before Christmas, Corpse Bride, and whatever the hell this is. I've been a little harsh on CGI, but like most animations, CGI can either make you love it or have no real interest in it. The live-action version of Jungle Book, while being one of my least favorite reboots, was still pretty impressive, with its handling of using one real-life child interacting with animals that weren't even there. Unless you count the actors who were used to help the animators place the characters in the scene. There's also the YouTube show known as Satellite City, which features an entire cast of CGI creatures in the real world, which is impressive, not just in its production, but in the many voice actors that really get into their characters. With that, I can safely say that no form of animation should die. Each technique, while some have proven to be simple cash grabs, still hold a special place within every animator's hearts. And they can put so much passion into it, where even people who have no interest in animation can still feel for each and every character, and can grow an emotional attachment to them, such as Toy Story or even The Simpsons. Traditional animation isn't dead, 2D animation isn't overrated, and CGI isn't lazy. Any animation technique can have its downs, But if there's enough true passion for film or TV, the animation can give life to an image born from a creative mind's imagination. And I am a bad example! I hope you all enjoyed this history of animation and that you all learned a little something about the beauty of creation. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see all you lovely people again soon. Eat chocolate, I'm gonna take a nap.